You're listening to Whoa! Potluck.
Welcome to Season 2 of the Asians in Hockey podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Nate Nikau, and I am so excited to drop the puck on the podcast this year. So, during the off-season, I officially launched a website for the show, asiansinhockey.com. Over there, you can listen to the podcast directly in your browser, check out links to some collected resources, such as Asian Hockey Card Collection, curated by our contributing producer, Chris Wu, and the online periodical Hockey in Society, edited by friend of the show, Courtney Cito. You can also write a review of the show on the website, as well as leave me a voice note. And if you're interested in dropping me a line, I would love to hear from you. Speaking of voice notes, I'm looking to collect sound bites from Asian hockey fans talking about their favorite teams. So if you're interested in sharing your story with me, please feel free to record a voice note on the website. I just might feature your story in an upcoming episode. I'll be adding more stuff to the website over the course of this coming season, so please be sure to visit often. Once again, you can find the site at asiansinhockey.com. Before we drop the puck on today's episode, I've got a couple favors to ask of you. First off, if you'd like to help out with some of the production and operating costs, you can do that through buymeacoffee.com. Just visit coffee/AsiansInHockey. That's coff.ee/AsiansInHockey to make a donation. And to reiterate, I promise to never charge a subscription fee for the podcast. And I'm just grateful to you for listening. But if you would like to help out, you can do so at the link I just mentioned, coffee/AsiansInHockey. Second, if you've enjoyed what you've heard from us thus far, I would love it if you could post a quick 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This is honestly the best way to get the word out about the show and help us cultivate our audience. Thank you so much for your support. And this last note is more of an announcement than a favor, but I wanted to let you know that this coming season I'll be switching things up and moving to a bi-weekly release schedule instead of a weekly one. I realized last season that working full-time and studying for my master's at the same time as producing podcasts on a weekly basis just wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm going to be spreading the episodes out a little bit. Now, I know that the hockey season is packed with action on a regular basis, so I do plan on popping in with an extra episode here and there if there's something worth covering in a timely manner between regularly scheduled episodes. But for the most part, you can expect a new episode of the podcast every other week. Okay, for today's episode, I'll be looking at the upcoming NHL and PWHL seasons. For our PWHL season preview, I'm joined by Ava Wood and Avery Jensen, who discuss with me their thoughts on the Asian PWHL players who will likely be making their debuts this year. All of that is coming up right after this.
But we're still here, and we're going strong.
It's an exciting time in Asian America. There are more movies, TV shows, books, and music reflecting us than ever. But all of these represent just a small slice of Asian American culture and experiences. So what do? Tell more slices. Asian Americana is a show that explores these slices of distinctly Asian American culture and history. We've talked about how Chinese Americans built California's Sacramento Delta, the art scene turns gallery institution Giant Robot, a play that explores the lost Cambodian pop music of the 60s and 70s, and, of course, boba, just to name a few stories. You can find Asian Americana at asianamericana.com or on your podcast app.
And we're getting tired of proving we belong.
As the 2025-26 NHL season gets underway, we're shining a spotlight on players of Asian descent, from the veterans carrying big roles on their teams to the newest draftees who represent the future of the game. First up, Nick Suzuki, captain of the Montreal Canadiens, and as I like to call him, the unofficial captain of this podcast. In the 2024-25 season, Suzuki exploded with 89 points, 30 goals and 59 assists in a full 82 games, finishing with a +19 rating. He was a consistent offensive driver and became the first Habs player to surpass 80 points since 2008, while hitting career milestones of 300 points and 400 games played total in his NHL career. His two-way leadership will again define Montreal's season as they look to be a bit ahead of schedule in their rebuild. Down in Dallas, Jason Robertson continues to be one of the league's most dynamic scorers, a 40-goal threat every year and the driving force behind the Stars' offense. Meanwhile, his younger brother Nicholas Robertson is pushing for a bigger role with the Toronto Maple Leafs. After signing a one-year extension this summer, he'll be aiming to prove that he belongs as an everyday contributor in one of hockey's most pressure-filled markets. On the defensive side, Jonas Siegenthaler remains a cornerstone for the New Jersey Devils, bringing size and stability to their blue line. The Los Angeles Kings added veteran defender Cody Ceci to shore up their back end, while Matt Dumba is beginning a brand new chapter with the Pittsburgh Penguins, looking to bring grit and leadership to a team still chasing playoff relevance in the Crosby era. There are a couple of other changes on defense. In Calgary, Kevin Ball has secured his future with a 6-year extension, and he'll be joined by rookie blue liner Zane Parekh, who made his NHL debut last season and is now pushing to become a full-time regular. Over in Vancouver, Kiefer Sherwood continues to play a depth role with the Canucks, bringing grit and energy to their bottom six. And in one notable move away from the NHL, Devon Shore has signed overseas in the Czech Republic with HC Sparta Praha, continuing his career over in Europe. Finally, in Utah, hockey's newest market, the Mammoth, are building an identity with their own player of Asian descent. Kyler Yamamoto has joined the club on a one-year deal, looking to prove that he can carve out a place in their lineup. There are quite a few players in the AHL that we could name, but for now, I'll just list the newest 2025-26 prospects. Haoxi Wang, also known as Simon Wang, drafted 33rd overall by the San Jose Sharks, made history as the highest drafted Chinese-born player. And at 6'6", his combination of size and mobility raised eyebrows, and at the Combine, he topped wingspan rankings and ranked near the top in strength and vertical leap metrics. He'll spend time developing at Boston University before making an NHL push. William Bell, a Chinese-American from Minnesota, was selected 137th overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Raised between the US and China, he offers size, physicality, and a reliable defensive game on the wing. Riker Lee, a Korean-Canadian forward with strong playmaking skills, was drafted by the Nashville Predators. Kenta Isogai, from Nagano, Japan, known for relentless two-way drive and WHL scoring touch, signed with the Ontario Reign. Though his NHL rights status remains undrafted, he has signed an AHL contract, which suggests that he may yet gain some NHL attention. Aiden Park, a U.S. center of Korean-American heritage, was selected 223rd overall by the Edmonton Oilers and will head to the University of Michigan to continue his development. Asanali Sarkinov from Kazakhstan, noted for size and physical play with offensive glimpses, was undrafted this year. Still, he continues developing with the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL and remains on NHL scouts' radars. I'll, of course, be keeping tabs on the Abbotsford Canucks this season, with Asian players Arshdeep Bains, Akito Hirose, and Jujhar Khaira all returning from their Calder Cup winning season. I'll also try to follow up with their cup-winning teammate Jet Wu, who has signed a two-way deal with Vancouver going into the 25-26 season. So I've just packed a lot of info into a very short amount of time, so I'm sure I've made a couple mistakes or even missed some players. If there are any NHL players I've missed, or if you'd like me to shout out any other AHL players, please hit me up by sending me a note on the website asiansinhockey.com. After the break, I'll be speaking with Ava Wood and Avery Jensen about the Asian women who will likely be making their elite hockey debuts this season. Stay tuned.
I'm Kim Cooper, and I co-host the podcast Asians in Baseball alongside Naomi Ko and Scott Okamoto. Asians in Baseball is exactly what it sounds like, a podcast about the Asian and Asian Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Americans in Major League Baseball. Every week, we break down the highlights of what's going on with Asians in baseball and then take a deeper dive into the Asian and Asian Americans past and present who have shaped baseball as it is today. Whether you're Kim Eng's #1 fan or you've never even heard of Hideo Nomo, we've got something for everyone, especially for the Shohei Ohtani stans. Maybe too much for the Shohei Ohtani stans. Listen to Asians in Baseball wherever you get podcasts, part of the Potluck Podcast Collective.
We're kicking this season off, our second season, with a look at the PWHL and what is likely going to be coming up this season, particularly with our players of Asian descent in the league. It's a really exciting time for us because last year, which was the second season of the PWHL, there weren't any players of Asian descent in the league. The previous year, we did have a few, but this season there were several in the PWHL draft, and they will be making their debuts with their respective teams. So we're going to take a look at these players and get a sense for what the upcoming season will look like. Joining me today for this conversation, we are welcoming back our PWHL voices, Ava Wood and Avery Jensen, who you can find on the socials as PWHL Source and 365 Hockey Girl in reverse order. So respectively, that would be 365 Hockey Girl and PWHL Source. Folks, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. Again, it's good to see you. So what do we have on today's docket? Who are we going to be talking about? What's happening in the PWHL this season?
Cool. Thanks for having us. I guess before we get started, I would just like to say I think it's really funny that me and Avery are here on the pod because obviously neither of our online profiles has our names on it, but our names are so similar. Like it's literally Ava and Avery. We live in Seattle and Vancouver, which are the two expansion cities. So I don't know. I just feel like it's perfect.
That is really cool. And you're both Asian, so
yeah. Cool. So we had 3 Asian players taken in the draft. The first one was Nicole Gosling, who was drafted 4th overall to the Montreal Victoire.
That's exciting.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I actually mentioned her when I was on the pod before because she was like the one player that I really knew about because she's been on Team Canada before, like on the Team Canada senior team with her cousin, Julia Gosling, who you know from the PWHL last year.
So what do we have as far as what we're looking at performance-wise? What do we think might be her contribution to Montreal? Avery, if I could pose the question to you, sure. What have you seen? Do you know what we might be seeing from her this coming season?
Well, I can't guarantee anything, but
of course,
that she's going to probably start on the second pair because Montreal's top pairing of Katie Taven and Erin Ambrose, I expect to stay together to start off. But I think Gosling will have a good rookie season, and she might even challenge for the top pair, and she might be on that long term in the future. Nice.
And where does she play on the left or the right side?
Left
side. Gotcha. Anything else we should pay attention to with Nicole Gosling?
Well, I was just gonna call it for folks at home if you're interested about learning about the team rosters and figuring out where these players are gonna play. Kyle Cushman has a really great free resource online called the PWHL Master Spreadsheet, and he actually predicts the depth charts for each team. So yeah, that's a great free resource if you want to learn more.
Awesome. We'll put the link to that in the show notes today, so everybody can take a look at that because that would be really really helpful, of course.
She's by far the biggest name Asian player in the PWHL. So I'm just excited for the visibility it's going to bring because she's not just is she in the league, but she's one of the league stars, right? She's going to be one of the stars. We're probably going to see her at the Olympics. will hopefully see her at
Yeah.
the Olympics. So I don't know. I just think it's really exciting.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see her play. It's gonna be a great season, and you're absolutely right. For the sake of visibility and representation, she's huge. So this is certainly a very, very big deal. We're really excited. So who else do we have to talk about? I hear Minnesota picked up an Asian player.
Yeah, they drafted forward Anna Segedi in round 3.
Great. So what do we know about Anna Segedi? What are some of your perspectives and thoughts about her?
Well, the first thing I thought was, I was like, damn, like, why did she have to go to Minnesota? Because everybody knows that's my least favorite team. Like, I don't know. I'm over here in Seattle, so I'm like, I'm wanting us to get Asian players, and then Minnesota goes and takes her. I'm like, okay, it's okay. Oh, no, just kidding. Yeah, just from like Googling her, I saw that she was playing in the Russian league. I forget what it's called. ZSHL, maybe?
Okay.
Something like that. Let me look it up.
Okay, cool.
ZHAL Jenskaya Hockey League. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Zenskaya, ZHHL.
Okay.
But that's like a Russian league. But I know there's like a lot of what I'm excited for is that there's actually a lot of PWHL players that are coming in from that league. So I don't know if you know that Alex Carpenter actually was playing in that league a few years back, too.
That's right. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, and then Ottawa Charge also brought in some more Russian players to their team in the draft, as well as the team she played for in the ZHHL was coached by Brian Adolsky, who is now the coach of PWHL Vancouver, and he was also the coach of Team China in the Olympics.
Okay.
So it's interesting because like she has that like international playing experience, and also like I'm interested to see like how these players coming out of that league are going to translate into this league. But she also played in NCAA.
She was just previously playing at St. Lawrence University, so.
Okay. And where is Anna from? Do we have any info about her background?
Wikipedia said she was born in China but grew up in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Like after Detroit.
Gotcha. Okay. And then had previously played for, like you were saying, St. Lawrence University and the Vancouver Rays, who were part of the CWHL way back in the day.
Oh, maybe I'm tripping.
No, you're not. The Vancouver Rays have kind of moved around from league to league. The CWHL way back in the day actually had a couple teams in China, even though it was the Canadian Women's Hockey League. They did have a couple teams that were based out there in, I think, Shenzhen, or I'm not entirely sure. But my facts are probably off in that regard. But I do remember the Vancouver Rays being a part of the CWHL back in the day. But anyway,
sorry, quick question: how did that work? Did they just fly from like Canada to China every time they had an away game? Because that seems really hard.
So yeah, they worked out the schedule in such a way so that the Chinese teams were playing against each other for the most part of the season, and then they would have special tours, or not special tours, but they would do a tour, like basically an away tour, play all of the Canadian and American teams, and then fly back. And then similarly, an American or Canadian team, really there was only one American team, but the Canadian team would go out there and do a tour, play a few games back and forth, and then fly back. So
that's just funny because I feel like with the PWHL expansion, a lot of the discussion was like, oh my gosh, the West Coast is too far, but it's like, y'all literally had teams in China.
Yep. Obviously, like sustainability was a big factor, and naturally, that's not something that could be really done well long term. But it was a really interesting experiment. I say experiment. That wasn't at the time. It wasn't conceived of as an experiment. That was supposedly going to be a long term thing. But obviously, as we know from history, the CWHL didn't continue on. And neither did the NWHL, and here we are talking about the PWHL. So we've got Nicole Gosling, we've got Anna Segedi. Who else do we have coming in this season?
Well, the third one that was drafted was Chanreet Bassi, who was drafted with the 48th pick by Vancouver, who is of Indian descent or Punjabi. What?
Okay, cool. And this one was a little bit of a surprise, right? I remember when the draft was going on, our little chat group, we're all like, wait, she got drafted? We wouldn't talk about her previously because we didn't think she was going to end up drafted.
I think it's one of those things where it was a surprise to us, but then after the fact, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Because she was drafted out of UBC, University of British Columbia. So she's from Vancouver. So if you're looking at this is a brand new team. So you're looking at how can we like engage the community? How can we pick somebody who probably already is familiar with the area, maybe knows some of these other players? I think it makes a lot of sense. And especially because I finally got the Changing on the Fly book by Courtney
cool.
from listening to this podcast. I didn't realize that hockey was so popular amongst like the Indian community, Southeast Asian community, especially in Vancouver. So like as soon as I picked up that book, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense.
And also not only that, but even myself, I was thinking, why would they do that when they could have brought her to training camp anyway? But the benefit of drafting her is that they can retain her rights for an additional year.
That's good to know. So, what do we think of her? I mean, she was drafted a little bit late in the draft, so it's not likely that she's going to be really making like a splash this season. But what are some thoughts? What do we see any upside to her? Any potential growth areas, or could she conceivably make a splash this season?
I don't think that she's necessarily going to have a big role. I think it's either she makes it as like the 13th forward or something, or a reserve player.
So first of all, she was also the only player that was drafted out of U Sports, I believe.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen too many players in the PWHL come straight from U Sports. One player that comes to mind is like Emmy Fecteau on the New York Sirens, who I feel like was like pretty effective last year.
Okay.
And also like fourth lines literally win championships. Like that's what we've learned from PWHL so far.
Absolutely.
Fourth lines win championships. So when we're coming in and we're saying, okay, she's probably going to play on the fourth line, that's a big deal. That's a big impact, right? So every single player is having an impact.
So for our listeners who might be in the U.S. and not as familiar with U Sports, what is U Sports and how does that how does that impact the players? If you have any info on that.
Well, U Sports is essentially a division of universities in Canada, but the skill level of that isn't as high as it is in something like the NCAA. So there's not always a lot of U Sports prospects that are super highly touted after, but there's always a few that are discussed that could possibly be drafted or make a small sort of impact.
Okay. Good to know.
I feel like it's interesting because you're really these players are really kind of forging their own path, right? Because the path from NCAA to PWHL is like very clear, whereas these U Sports players really have to say, like I said, they really have to forge their own path. So I feel like that's exciting for Chenry to be like a trailblazer in this way. And also I feel like obviously, NCAA is kind of like the main path to PWHL, but there's always going to be multiple paths to things, right? And I feel like U Sports has had so much success, especially, like Concordia Stingers over in like Montreal.
Right.
Like I think U Sports is a little slept on, to be honest.
Okay. So we'll be keeping an eye on them for sure. So who else do we have? Those kind of round out the draftees, right? But we've got a couple of players who went undrafted, but they are at least one player who went undrafted, but is going to be associated with the team. Am I correct in that? Who do we have?
Well, one example that immediately comes to my mind is PWHL Vancouver has invited goaltender Kimberly Newell to training camp, who used to play for KRS Vancouver and is also from Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, she's a goaltender. If you get a chance, look up like a picture of her with her like Team China pads. Bro, they're so cool. They have like these dragons on them. They go so hard.
Nice.
So I know she'll probably have to get just like PWHL Vancouver pads, but like, I don't know, the Team China pads went really hard.
That's cool. All right, I'm going to take a quick look at them now because I'm so curious what these look like. And then for anybody not, who's listening, I'll go ahead and drop a link in the show notes just so you can. Oh, wow. Those are fire.
Right.
Damn. Okay. All right. So if you're listening to this, I'll drop a link in the show notes. You can take a look. Those pads are incredible. Very cool. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have? Anyone who also went undrafted but might be making an appearance either this season or in our following season?
Yeah. So I also saw that Katie Chan had a training camp invite to PWHL Vancouver as well. And she played at Colgate and Cornell, which are both like big feeder schools for the PWHL.
Right.
Currently under contract in the SDHL. So I don't know exactly how all that stuff works.
Okay.
But she did have a training camp invite to PWHL Vancouver. And I do think that most of this is being driven potentially by either the GM or the coaching staff, because Brian Adolsky, who is the PWHL Vancouver coach, has a lot of personal connections to all of these like Team China players because he coached the Vancouver Rays and also coached Team China in the Olympics in 2022. So
interesting.
Even you look at like Hannah Miller, right? Hannah Miller played for Team China. She's at PWHL Vancouver. So I feel like PWHL Vancouver is giving Team China. Yeah,
a little bit. So if you're a fan of Asian hockey players, it's probably a good idea to pay attention to PWHL Vancouver.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nothing for PWHL Seattle. Nothing for the New York Sirens.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Plus, Vancouver's the only team that has 2 black players.
Right. That's right. Wow. All right. So it looks like we're going to be keeping our eyes on Vancouver, seeing what they can pull out for us this season. It'll be exciting to keep track of those players, and I'm actually really pumped that we can talk about the PWHL this year on the podcast.
Me too. Honestly, like it's so exciting because, like you said, there was like 0 Asian players last year. It's like, damn, like we don't even got 1 player. So
right
now it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many players.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
And nothing's actually guaranteed, but I was hearing talks about how Vancouver was going to invite Leah Lum to training camp, who played with Montreal in season 1.
Oh, okay. That's yep. That's exciting. We'll see the return of Leah Lum. I'm a little bit bummed that she's not going to come back to Montreal, but obviously it'd be great to see her back in the league. So, any other news, info, or anything that we should be keeping an eye on this season?
Well, we can always argue about whether Seattle or Vancouver is better.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you two have at it. I will. I'll turn my mic off and just let the two of you go back and forth on that one.
No, I'm actually so excited about PWHL Seattle, and it's funny because I'm like, I don't know if I'm just biased because I've like tricked my mind into being a PWHL Seattle fan, but I'm really feeling like even if I had to choose between the 2 teams, I would choose Seattle. Like it just feels like my team. Like I just love them so much. And I also think that we're kind of underrated, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that's fair.
Why are you saying you choose them to cheer for or choose them to be better?
No, I just choose them to be loyal to. Yeah.
Okay.
And so maybe I'm tricking myself into thinking that they're also better, but like I fully believe that. So
nice.
I have seen arguments about them supposedly having the best first line in the league, but sometimes I like to say, well, none of them were even in the playoffs last year.
True. I hope we're not like another Montreal. No tea, no shade, no tea, no shade. Like we're like great in the regular season and then like flop in the playoffs. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, it couldn't be any worse than the New York Sirens. So
It's true. I'm excited for the Sirens, but I'm also scared that they're still going to be in last place.
yeah, I'm a little worried about them as well. I really would like to see them actually, make an appearance in the playoffs for starters. But that's kind of the first step on improving. So, any word on? I know she's not in the PWHL, but she was in season 1. Do you happen to know of if there's any news on Akane Shiga? I know she had surgery this summer. Do you think she's still going to be playing in the Swedish league? Do you think she'll make her way, or do you think she's eyeing a return to North America? Or
well, last I heard, she actually signed an extension over in Sweden. So
okay, so she's very happy over there. It seems like. Cool. All right, well, that's good to know. Any other thoughts before we put this little season preview to bed?
I guess my only other thought would be, I feel like you've definitely had some other Kraken folks on this pod. With PWHL Seattle, like looking at the lineup, it's like, okay, we don't have any Asian players, but obviously it's still a huge Asian population in Seattle.
Yes.
So even though we don't have any Asian players, I wouldn't say I'm like disappointed or anything. I'm like, there's still so many opportunities for us to like engage in the community and like build that community in Seattle. So I'm excited.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree. And yeah, to talk, to hear a little bit more about what's going on with hockey in Seattle, particularly with the Seattle Kraken and their community efforts, head back into season 1 and listen to the interview with Mari Horita. I had a great conversation with her, and we really got to learn a lot about what's going on with the Seattle Kraken. And that's an organization. Look, if I wasn't on the East Coast, they might actually be the NHL team I would be rooting for. So yeah. Oh, sorry, Avery, I forgot to give you the floor to make an argument for Vancouver, since Ava just made her argument for Seattle. I know, Avery, you haven't declared your loyalty, and am I correct in assuming that you're probably not declaring a loyalty, or are you? Do you think you'll be cheering for a team, or are you just going to be watching the league in general?
Well, my mindset currently is I want to cover the entire league, but I could have a change of heart.
Oh, okay. This is a change from the last time you were on the pod. At least a slight change. Well, let's say you were trying to convince somebody to be a Vancouver fan. How would you do that?
Ooh, that's a hard question that I didn't even really think about much. I'd say for right now that they definitely were the big winner of free agency, because they convinced a lot of players to go there, and not necessarily for the salary that people thought they might have been worth.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I think Vancouver's GM might be a genius. Like how I heard they were working with like a baseball salary cap expert. I don't know how they were able to sign that many good players, like with the salary cap and whatnot, but mastermind over there.
Absolutely. And kudos to that organization. They're certainly going to be a fun one to watch. So if I would make an argument for a team, obviously, for the sake of this podcast, they do have the most Asian players. But on the flip side, I think it's always fun to watch a brand new team enter a league and get your feet wet on hockey, join in from the beginning. But that's an argument that could be made for both Seattle and Vancouver. So I suppose if you're Canadian, then naturally you're going to be cheering for Vancouver, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm also really excited about Montreal this year, though. I'm really excited about Montreal because, as you know, not very much playoff success so far. But I really feel like this is the year. Especially when they got, I don't know. I'm also so excited about Abby Rock on Montreal. Like, Jade Downey Landry, I don't know. I feel like Montreal.
I like their free agency as well.
Yeah, their free agency period was really good.
Cool. All right. Well, then in the East, the powerhouse would be Montreal. Hopefully, at least the regular season powerhouse will be Montreal.
Yeah. I think out of the 06 teams, I'm going Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Both the expansion teams are kind of OP.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So very, very early predictions, but where do you see the Walter Cup landing?
Oh, if I was betting money, honestly, probably Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing is every year we're like, not every year, but even last year I was like, okay, they were good year one. I don't know if they're going to be good again year two, but it's like clearly they know something the other teams don't know. Right?
So you're putting money on a three-peat, huh? Okay.
No,
okay.
I don't want to know. This is not okay. Okay, so if I was just a random person and like somebody was like, you have to bet money on this, I'd be like, okay, like that would be the safe option.
Okay.
What I want, PWHL Seattle Cup year one.
Okay.
Because Hillary Knight's retiring. And I know we already got into this on the other pod, but I always bring up Hillary Knight. But seriously, though, I'm like, think about, okay, hear me out. Team USA wins the Olympics. Frenzy in the United States about women's hockey. PWHL Seattle wins the Walter Cup. Broadcast deal.
Oh, okay. All right. I like it. All right. What about you, Avery? What are your thoughts? Do you have any early predictions?
Oh, well, it's definitely tough to think about. Even last season, I actually had Minnesota, Ottawa as the teams not in the playoffs, and they were both in the finals. And I was thinking, if based on Minnesota's roster being taken apart a bit, am I gonna sound not smart later if I say they're not going to be in the playoffs and then they make it in, they go all the way again? But if I have to predict now, I'd say I think Montreal is actually going to surprise people and they're going to win it.
Okay. So Montreal with the sneaky, let's surprise everybody and actually win at least one playoff game, if not more. Cool. I like it. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join you there. I'll join you in the Montreal prediction. And that's not because I'm wearing a Montreal jersey today. But I think it's time. I really think that team, like you were saying, Abby Rock, I think MPP really, like they're itching, they're champing at the bit to finally win. And the atmosphere in Montreal, that's just a fan base that is rabid. They love their hockey. They know their hockey up there. And if there's a city that deserves a championship in women's hockey, it's Montreal. I mean, to be fair, they did win some with the CWHL, but I think it's high time. It's high time for Montreal to win a cup. And while I think it would be cool to see Hillary Knight go out, in a blaze of glory, she's already won a Clarkson Cup. She's already won the Isabel Cup. So
no, but the Walter Cup is the one thing she doesn't have.
Okay.
It's so elusive.
Well,
she can't retire until she wins it. So
okay, all right.
Well,
so
since you say that, she did say 2026 is going to be her last Olympics, but it's not going to be her final season playing in the PWHL.
This is true. Thanks for the clarification there. So yeah, she might eke out a couple more seasons. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Last year in the Olympics, she probably still has a little bit more gas in the tank for a few more years in the PWHL. So we'll see.
Yeah. I feel like we need a Seattle Montreal final. I'd be really happy with that.
Okay. Yeah. I would too. East meets West. You cover the continent,
Mm-hmm.
both ends of the continent. Okay. I like it. All right. Well, with that, I think we can safely bring this episode to a close. Obviously, everybody pay attention to the PWHL and what's going to be coming up this season in women's hockey. It's a really exciting time to be following women's hockey. So, thank you both for joining us for this season preview. And if you're looking for more PWHL content, obviously go follow 365 Hockey Girl and PWHL Source on social media. I'll put links in the show notes. And we'll see you two around in the hockey social sphere.
Thanks. Also, wait, can I shout something out while I'm here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, as you guys know, I mostly make shorts because I realize that most people have short attention spans and don't watch like long YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I did attempt to make a YouTube video. Not many people watched it yet. So shouting it out here.
Okay. I'll put a link then in the show notes and I'll share it on socials.
Yes. It's about Montreal.
Okay.
So it's about like my trip to Montreal, and then it like compares like the 2024 like triple overtime game to the game that happened exactly a year later and went to quadruple overtime. So it's a little bit of like a redemption arc.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. All right, I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So make sure you go check that out if you're listening. All right, once again, thank you two so much for hanging out with us today, and looking forward to this hockey season.
Thanks, you
Thank
too.
you for
I
having me
can't
back.
wait.
Absolutely. That's it for today's episode. Tune in next time where I'll be chatting with former PHF player and NCAA coach who is now a mental health advocate, Reagan Rust. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for listening. Asians in Hockey is part of the Potluck Podcast Collective and is hosted and produced by Nate Nakau. Contributing producers are Chad Soon and Chris Wu. Original music by Scott Okamoto. If you like what you heard, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share this podcast with your friends. To keep up with us on socials, follow us on Instagram and Threads at Asians in Hockey and on Blue Sky at asiansinhockey.com. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/asiansinhockey. Please feel free to shoot me an email at asiansinhockey@gmail.com, and don't forget to visit asiansinhockey.com for more great content. See you next time on the Asians in Hockey podcast.